Here's how to ask for a date without pressuring her. Now, do you want to ask a girl or a woman on a date? The best thing to do is ask. Now, jump right in and do it. Now, with that said, you may want to think about your approach. Now, if you're not careful, you could unintentionally pressuring her into saying yes. And of course, you want to hear yes, but you want to receive a true yes and not a pressured yes. So how can you ask a woman on a date without pressuring the woman? Well, one thing you can do is flirt. Flirting is one of the best ways to test the waters. Now, if you're in a public establishment like a bar or a sporting event or concert and you want to see if the girl is interested in you, do this before taking the plunge. Flirting is the way to go because you can gauge a reaction. Does she seem interested? Does she flirt back? Is she trying to get away from you? Now, when it comes to flirting, you have many different options. More importantly, put a smile on your face. Flirting will fall flat on its face without a smile. Plus, a friendly smile will make it easier for her to approach you. Also, make eye contact. Whether you approach her for a conversation or flirt from afar, try to lock eyes with her. If you are with a group of friends, separate yourself from the crowd. Go start a conversation with her or wait till she approaches you. Now, strike up a conversation. Now, if you don't have a fear of approaching women, skip the flirting and just start with conversation. Walk up and say you noticed her from across the room. Introduce yourself, and then she should do the same. Now, when you're having a casual conversation with the girl you just met, start out slow. Ask her if she's having fun. If listening to a band at a bar, ask her what kind of music she likes, and so forth. Now, if she's interested, the conversation will take off on its own. Now, once you've made contact with a woman you just met and are still interested, it's time to ask about a date. Now, when you're doing this, casually work it into the conversation. Wait for the perfect opportunity. Did the conversation turn towards favorite movies or music? Now, if so, ask her to attend a concert with you or dinner and a movie. By starting a conversation first, you lessen the nervousness and awkwardness that's often associated with asking a stranger for a date. If you want to ask a woman on a date that you know, like somebody from school or work, it may be just as hard. If you see this woman on a daily basis, you may fear rejection and what happens because of it. But don't let this stop you. But take the roundabout approach. Instead of outright asking for a date, don't use the word. Instead, mention a movie you want to see or a new restaurant you want to try. Casually ask if she would like to join you. To keep pressure off the woman, know that no means no. If you receive a first date rejection, gauge her reaction. Does she seem truly disappointed that she can't attend because she has other plans? If so, give her your phone number and ask her to call when she has time. On the other hand, if she's got no out of her mouth in record time, just move on. If you keep asking or apply pressure, she may give in just to stop you from bugging her. Yes, you did accomplish your goal of getting a date, but you did it the wrong way. Cocky pickup lines, to use or not to use. Have you seen in the movies where a guy uses a pickup line to get a girl? Now, most likely you have. It probably happens in most comedy movies, but does it happen in real life? Well, yes, it does. That doesn't mean it has to be a good idea, though. So before focusing on the pros and cons of using a pickup line to meet a girl and get a date, know that pickup lines come in a number of different formats. Honestly, it all depends on who you ask. Some classify, hi, how are you doing tonight? Or, are you having as much fun as me, as pickup lines. But for this talk, we're going to focus on the funny yet occasional cocky pickup lines like the ones you see in the above mentioned comedy movies. So what exactly is a funny yet cocky pickup line? It's one where overconfidence just pours from you. It screams, I'm a good catch, I know it, and now you will know it too. A few cocky pickup lines include, I'm going outside to make out. Do you care to join me? I have big feet. Do you work for UPS? Because I could have sworn you were checking out my package. As previously stated, just because there are a ton of pickup lines available online for you to use doesn't mean that you should. Many times they backfire. For example, The above-mentioned pickup line of, "I have big feet," we all know what that implies. It's great to have confidence, but this takes it a little bit too far. You want to score a date with a girl, not to have her think you are a cocky jerk. If you want to hit a home run, focus on rounding the bases first. After all, you've got to start somewhere, and if you use this pickup line, at least say hi first. Now, another reason you should avoid these cocky pickup lines is because most imply sex. Yes, both men and women have one-night stands, but it doesn't mean that the girl you are talking to does that. Now, if you truly want to score in the bedroom, get an official date first. Pickup lines like, "I'm going outside to make out," "Do you care to join me?" implies that the girl wants sex right then and there. Yes, you may actually get lucky, but don't make a girl feel slutty. Now, there are a number of downsides to using pickup lines that are the brunt of many jokes, but it just may work to your advantage. Are you willing to take a gamble, or are you really fun and overconfident? If so, be yourself and let the pickup lines flow out. Depending on what you say, some girls may laugh and walk away, some may walk away in disgust, but you may just get a giggler who stays. In short, you do take a gamble when you're using a funny and cocky pickup line to meet a girl and ask her for a date. So what should you do? Be yourself. If a pickup line comes out, just wait to see what happens. With that said, don't research cocky pickup lines at home unless you intend to joke around with friends. If you can't come up with a good line on your own, it's better left unsaid. How to have a good date. Did you finally ask that girl you've been eyeing out on a date? Now, if so, are you ready for the big night? Whether you are nervous or excited, please continue listening for a few helpful planning tips. These tips, when followed, will help to ensure you and your date have a good time. To have a good first date, you must do something that is fun. Does your date hate crowded locations and loud music? If so, she may not like a bar or a concert, so opt for something else. If you just met her, you may be unaware of her likes and dislikes. Now, if that's the case, ask or offer a suggestion, but give her the option of changing it. Offer to pick her up for the date. The only exception would be if you met this woman online. She may feel uncomfortable providing you with her home address, so don't pressure her. Meet her at her favorite movie theater, bar, or restaurant. But if you already know where your date lives, always offer to pick her up. Arrive on time. When it comes to first dates, being late is unacceptable. It should not happen. If you want to wow and impress a girl, be on time. A late arriver implies that the date may not be important. A woman doesn't like to feel like she is second best. Start getting dressed and leave early to avoid being late. Be presentable. Whether you're meeting this woman for the first time or if you already know her, she will give you the once look over. She's doing this to see how presentable you are. You don't want to overdress, but never underdress. Always show up for a date with a nice hairstyle and clean clothes. Ask questions, but not too many. First dates are designed to get to know the other person. Now, to do so, you need to ask questions. Good conversation topics include work, family, and pets. Now, when asking questions, don't get too personal. With a high rate of divorce in the country, you may want to ask your date about her siblings, but not her parents. Also, don't sound like you're interviewing her. Incorporate questions naturally into the conversations, not one right after another. And don't press your views on her. It is common for conversation awkwardness to happen on a first date. This is when neither of you know what to say. Now, if you reach this point, you may turn to news stories. Now, what is happening in the world will lead to conversation, but it can take a bad turn. Does your date not agree with you on politics, crime, and so forth? If so, that is fine, but don't press your views on her or turn your first date into a debate. This is one of the fastest ways to ruin a good time. Always listen to your date. Since first dates are awkward and you are likely nervous, your mind may slip away. This is okay, but be on your toes. Always listen to what your date has to say. Don't ask the same questions again. If you don't listen to your woman on the first date, she will assume the entire relationship will be like that. Remember, your goal is to score a second date, not to leave her unimpressed. Don't be afraid of a change of scenery. Is the movie boring or the restaurant too full? Don't assume you have to stay. Ask your date if she would like to leave and go elsewhere. Let her suggest the new destination. If you like the woman, but you aren't having a good time, change the scenery. Most important, ask her to do it again. Whether the date was fun or not, if you like the woman, ask her out again. This is the perfect way to end a good date. Date conversation ideas. First dates have become extremely awkward when the wrong things are said and when nothing is said at all. If topics of discussion on your first date are a fear of yours, continue listening on for a few suggestions. In terms of first date conversations, it's best to plan. And when doing so, break the date down into 3 different categories. These categories are beginning, middle, and end. When you consider each part of your date as opposed to the whole night, coming up with conversation ideas doesn't sound so hard. Now, as for the beginning of the date, it depends on how you start the night. Did you pick up your date or at least meet her at her destination? Regardless, opt for a quick greeting. A simple "Hi, thank you for coming" should be the first words out of your mouth. If you pick up a date at her home, greet her inside and then ask if she's ready to go. Now, once you get to the car, hold the door open for her. Once inside, ask if she's comfortable. If not, make steps to make sure she is. If she is comfortable, she will likely follow it with something like, "You have a nice car." This is a good starting point. You can mention when you bought it or how you got it for a great deal. Then ask her about her car. Another good first date conversation in the car is about likes and dislikes. Are you going to watch a movie? Tell her you hope it's good. Then ask her what her favorite movie is. If you don't know it, ask her to summarize it real quick. You can take the same approach with her favorite restaurants, bars, music groups, and so forth. If you meet your date at the destination, such as a dinner or a movie, ask how the trip was. Ask if she's found the place okay. Do this before asking if she's ready to go inside. Once your date starts, you will be reaching the middle of the night. This is where you want to get to know your date, so ask questions. When doing so, don't dig too deep. Ask about her family. Does she have siblings? Ask about her job or college classes. These questions always lead to conversation. You can also use them to talk about yourself. Does your date tell you she has a sister? Then talk about her. You can do the same and mention your family. An awkward point in a date is the end. If at a restaurant, you may be unsure when to call it a night. If you're finished eating or drinking, see if your date is interested in doing something else. Does she want to stop and have a few drinks or listen to a band at a local bar? It won't hurt to ask. A good date relies on good conversation. This should take place throughout the entire date, but the words you utter at the end of the night have the most influence. Be sure to say you had a good time. You will want to ask her for a second date. Now, if the date didn't go well, you may be nervous about asking. Instead of outright asking, say, "You have my phone number. Call if you want to do this again." How not to ask a girl out. By text message. Cell phone use has rapidly increased in popularity. It seems as if most teenagers and adults have a cell phone attached at the hip. Yes, you may have a cell phone. Yes, the girl you want to ask out may have a cell phone. That doesn't mean you should use it. If you use a cell phone to ask a girl on a date, actually place a call. A text message is convenient but impersonal. If you want a date, go the next step and actually talk into the phone. Better yet, ask for a date in person. By email. As with text messages, emails are impersonal. When a woman or even a teenage girl is asked out on a date, she likes to read and gauge the person. With an email message, it is impossible for her to tell if you are excited about the date or if you have been pressured into asking by friends. So increase your chances of getting a date by asking in person and by avoiding email. By online dating website. Although most men find potential dates in person, online dating has increased in popularity. If you use an online dating website, you can ask for a date through the service, but it may be considered tacky. Never rush the process. Get to know the person at the other end of the computer. When you do so, you will not only know if you like this woman, but you will get her phone number. Call and ask for a date in person. By an instant message. Although similar to emails, it is important to classify the two as separate. Instant messaging programs are just that, instant communication. The instant communicating makes it more personal than an email, but play it safe. Refrain from asking for a date on a program such as AOL Instant Messenger. Once again, place an actual phone call or ask in person. Through the grapevine. Blind dates are common. Do you have a friend who wants to set you up with a girl he or she knows? This is okay if it is truly a blind date, if you have never met the person before. If you want to ask someone that you personally know, do it yourself. Don't rely on friends to make plans for you. All women, including teenage girls, want a man that is bold enough to ask themselves, no matter how nerve-wracking it can be. The rare exception to the rule is with a group outing, which is technically not classified as a date. As previously stated, the best way to ask for a date with a girl or a woman is to do so in person or at least in a traditional phone conversation. But wait, what if you are a teenager seeking your first date or an adult asking a woman you really like? You are bound to be nervous. The best thing to do is to practice. Plan what you want to say. If you truly have your heart set on not speaking a word, opt for a handwritten note. How to handle first date rejection. Did you finally work up the courage to ask a girl on a date? If so, good for you. This is truly a step in the right direction. Now, the first step in jumping into the dating scene is asking. But what if you received a no? What does it mean? Find out some tips on how to handle a first date rejection. Now, here's the scenario. You like a girl from school. You ask her to join you for a movie, but you were turned down. What do? It's important to gauge the no answer. Does she outright say no? Does she say she is busy this weekend, or maybe the next? If the girl says maybe next time, do not give up. There is still hope for you. On the other hand, if she outright says no, you may feel like running away and embarrassment, but don't do it. Casually say, I'll let you know if it's good. Scenario. If you ask a woman to join you from work for dinner and she said no, what do? Once again, you should gauge her answer. Did she outright say no? Did she say she didn't like seafood? If you get a no because a woman doesn't like your choice in restaurants, offer another suggestion. In fact, say, I'm really not a picky eater. If you would like, you could pick the restaurant. Wait to see what she has to say. If she says yes, good. If she says no, it's time to move on. Scenario. You ask a girl from school to join you at the beach, but she said no. What do? Now, as always, you should gauge the answer no. Also, look at her body language and consider her tone. Is she disappointed or is she truly not interested? A girl who shows disappointment may be interested in you, but she may not like your suggestion of an afternoon at the beach. In terms of teens, know that most girls are fearful about their body. They may fear you seeing them in a bathing suit. If you get that type of vibe, suggest something else, like a movie. Scenario. You asked a woman at the office to join you for drinks after work. She said no. Now what? When it comes to workplace relationships, there are a number of factors to take into consideration. A coworker may be interested in you, but she may fear workplace gossip or worry about her job. Never pressure a coworker into a date, but don't be afraid. Ask for a date in private and suggest a bar away from work, so that you will not run into other coworkers. Plans should be taken into consideration. Does your coworker say, I would love to, but I have other plans? This means you still have hope. It is easy to ask a coworker out for drinks or dinner after a long day of work, but she may have other plans. On Tuesday, suggest meeting after work on Friday. As highlighted before, you may receive a no to a first date offer in many scenarios. Before giving up all hope, consider her reaction. There may be still hope for you. If not, brush yourself off and move on. It is a tacky old age saying, but there are other fish in the sea.